Something strange is brewing in the atmosphere. This isn't going to be your average winter. Forget what you think you know about predictable cold snaps. Forget what you think you know about gentle snowfalls. The winter of 2025 to 2026 is shaping up to be a season of extremes, a true atmospheric tug-of-war. We're looking at a forecast that will literally split the United States in two. For some, it will be a season of relentless cold, deep snow, a classic winter wonderland. For others, it'll feel like winter never truly arrives. Warmth, dry skies. Imagine a line drawn right across the middle of the country. To the north of that line, winter will flex its muscles with powerful Arctic blasts, significant snowfall. To the south, a much milder pattern will take hold, above average temperatures, disappointingly dry conditions. This great divide isn't just a casual prediction. The most advanced long-range computer models are all showing it. The battle between these two opposing air masses will create an explosive weather battleground in the heartland. This is where the country's most dramatic weather will unfold. Crippling ice storms, intense blizzards. What makes this year so different? It's a clash of titans. On one side, a weak and indecisive Pacific pattern called La Niña. On the other, a wild card high above the North Pole, the polar vortex. Signs of instability in the polar vortex threaten Siberian-level cold reaching deep into the U.S. The interaction between these two forces will decide who gets a mild winter, and who will be digging out until spring. This isn't just a forecast, it's the story of a winter on a knife's edge. Volatility means conditions could change rapidly, bringing weather whiplash to millions. One week might feel like early spring. The next could bring the coldest air of the decade. We'll break down what these patterns mean region by region. Why some areas brace for record snow, why others face worsening drought. Let's start with the main character in our winter story, a phenomenon happening thousands of miles away in the Pacific Ocean. You've likely heard the names El Niño, La Niña. These are natural cycles of warming and cooling ocean waters near the equator. Think of a strong La Niña as a giant boulder dropped into a river. It powerfully diverts the flow of water around it. In weather terms, that river is the jet stream, a fast-moving current of air high in the atmosphere that steers storms. A strong La Niña reliably pushes this jet stream north, giving the northern United States cold, snowy winters. The southern United States tends to be warm and dry. This year, however, we're dealing with something different. A weak, almost ghostly La Niña. The ocean temperatures are just barely cool enough to even earn the title. Our boulder in the river is more like a small pebble. It's trying to influence the jet stream, but its grip is fragile. This weakness is the source of our winter's volatility. Without a strong, locked-in pattern, the jet stream is more prone to wild swings and buckles. It could wander north one week, then dive dramatically south the next, bringing a roller coaster of temperatures with it. The official forecast from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, reflects this uncertainty. While a La Niña watch is in effect, there's a significant chance we could remain in neutral conditions all winter long. Now, let's look way up, about 60,000 feet above the North Pole. This is where our winter's biggest wildcard lives, the polar vortex. The name sounds scary, like a monster from a sci-fi movie, but it's a normal feature of our atmosphere. Think of it as a giant spinning top made of intensely cold Arctic air. During most winters, this top spins fast and stays stable, keeping that frigid air locked over the polar regions. When the polar vortex is strong and tight, we tend to have milder winters here in the United States. This winter, however, that spinning top is showing signs of becoming unstable. Scientists are forecasting a high probability of a sudden stratospheric warming event, a rapid warming high in the stratosphere that disrupts the polar vortex. Ironically, what happens up there leads to major cold down here. When this warming event happens, it's like someone giving the spinning top a hard nudge. It starts to wobble, it slows down, and can even split into 2 or 3 pieces. When the polar vortex wobbles, it's like opening the planet's freezer door. All that Arctic air comes spilling southward into North America, Europe, Asia. This isn't a little cold snap. These are major Arctic outbreaks. Temperatures can plummet 15 to 25 degrees below normal for extended periods. For everyone living in the northern tier of the United States, from the Pacific Northwest across the northern plains and Great Lakes and into New England, get your shovels and parkas ready. This winter is shaping up to be a classic cold and snowy season, thanks to the combination of a weak La Niña and a wobbly polar vortex. The dominant storm track is expected to be aimed directly at this part of the country. In regions like the Great Lakes, this pattern is a perfect recipe for intense lake-effect snow. As frigid Arctic air from Canada blows over the relatively warmer waters of the Great Lakes, It will pick up enormous amounts of moisture and dump it as heavy snow on the downwind shores. Buffalo, New York, southern shore of Lake Superior, eastern shore of Lake Michigan, could see snowfall totals 20 to 40% above average. These aren't just gentle flurries. Intense snow bands can drop multiple feet of snow in a very short time. Beyond the Great Lakes, the return of the Alberta Clipper is also on the menu. These are fast-moving, energetic storms diving down from Alberta, Canada. While each clipper might only drop a modest 3 to 6 inches of snow, their frequency is the real story this winter. This forecast is fantastic news for winter sports enthusiasts. Ski resorts in the Cascades, Rockies, New England are likely to enjoy a banner year with deep, consistent snowpack. While the northern United States braces for a deep freeze, the story for the southern tier of the country could not be more different. From Southern California, Arizona, Texas, Atlanta, Florida, winter will feel more like an extended autumn. The same weak La Niña pattern will create a blocking ridge of high pressure over the south. Think of this high pressure as a giant atmospheric shield. It deflects storms northward and allows warmer, drier air to dominate the region for weeks at a time. For residents in this part of the country, this means a winter characterized by pleasant, mild temperatures. Forecasts show temperatures running 2 to 4 degrees above normal for much of the season. Heating bills are likely to be lower, and days spent outdoors will be more frequent. However, this warmth comes with a significant downside: a lack of rain and snow. Precipitation is expected to be 20 to 40% below average across the entire southern United States. This is especially bad news for the Southwest, a region already struggling with long-term drought conditions. The lack of moisture will likely cause drought to worsen in places like Arizona, New Mexico, and West Texas. In Southern California, the combination of dry conditions and occasional offshore winds could extend the threat of fire weather well into the winter months. Welcome to the battleground. The Midwest and Ohio Valley, northern Texas, Oklahoma, St. Louis, Indianapolis, Columbus, will be ground zero for this winter's most dramatic weather clashes. This is the region where the two Americas will collide. Frigid, dry Arctic air from the north, warm, moist air surging up from the Gulf of Mexico. When these two wildly different air masses meet, the results are explosive. This region won't have a consistent pattern, instead will be subjected to extreme weather whiplash. You might be wearing shorts one day as warm Gulf air pushes north, then facing a blizzard and ice storm 2 days later as Arctic air returns. How can we be so confident about a winter that is still months away? While long-range forecasting is never perfect, we can look to the past for clues. Meteorologists use analog years, past years with similar global atmospheric and oceanic setups, to help predict what might happen. For the upcoming winter of 2025-2026, one winter stands out as an almost perfect match: 2010-2011. The pattern similarity is a striking 85%, giving us a valuable historical roadmap for what may lie ahead. 2010-2011 was a wild winter. Absolute chaos across the northern and eastern United States, famous for the Snowmageddon blizzards that buried cities: Chicago, New York. Some northeast areas got 140% of their normal snowfall. The Midwest was slammed by the Groundhog Day blizzard. Travel came to a complete standstill. The South was exceptionally warm and dry, just as the forecast suggests for this year. Looking back gives a vivid picture of the two Americas this pattern can create. Other analog years include 2007-2008 and 1998-1999. What do these past winters have in common? They all produced memorable, widespread Arctic outbreaks, driven by a disrupted polar vortex. Cold snaps that made national headlines, schools closed for a week, pipes burst, cars refused to start. Cold people still talk about decades later. All historical analogs pointing to major cold waves is a strong signal to prepare. The first step for everyone, no matter where you live, is to have a reliable way to receive weather alerts. A NOAA weather radio is the gold standard. It will wake you up for warnings even if the power is out. Make sure your smartphone has weather apps with push notifications enabled for your location. For those in the northern United States bracing for cold and snow, now is the time to get your winter gear in order. Make sure your home is well insulated to keep heating costs down. Have your furnace inspected. Prepare a winter emergency kit for your car that includes blankets, a flashlight, water, snacks, a first aid kit. Make sure you have snow shovels, salt, sand ready to go before the first storm hits. When a major Arctic blast is forecast, remember the 3 Ps. Protect people, protect pets, protect pipes from the extreme cold. This winter will be a fascinating season to watch. a real-time demonstration of the atmosphere's power and complexity. Following the daily forecast will keep you safe and help you understand why the weather is behaving so strangely. By staying informed and prepared, you can face this wild winter with confidence, ready for whatever it throws your way.